The stars had always been a dream for humanity, a promise of unity and discovery. But that dream turned into a nightmare when the Galactic Council branded Earth as a threat. They called humans dangerous, unpredictable, and too emotional to exist among the stars. It began with a single mistake. A Terran research vessel entered a restricted alien sector by accident. The alien patrol that found it opened fire, and the humans defended themselves. The fight lasted only minutes, but thousands died. To the Council, that was enough. They called it an act of war. No words, no explanations, no trials. The Council made its decision in silence. Earth was exiled. Humanity was to leave the galaxy's heart and never return. The news spread across the stars like fire. Allies abandoned humans, trade routes closed, and entire colonies went dark overnight on Earth. People watched the skies fill with Council warships, massive alien fleets surrounding their homeworld like vultures. Their message was clear: leave or die. Panic filled the streets, governments argued, and leaders begged for mercy, but none came. When the first orbital bombardment began, humanity finally understood. There was no forgiveness coming. The Council feared them. And fear is the seed of hate. In a last act of unity, the nations of Earth came together under one command, the United Terran Authority. They gathered every ship, every engineer, and every dreamer left. Their plan was simple. If the galaxy did not want them, they would find a new one. They called it the Exodus. Millions were loaded onto colony ships, leaving behind cities turning to ash. Earth's surface burned, but the sky was filled with light as ships launched through the smoke. Families cried, soldiers saluted, and children looked up for the last time at the blue world they would never see again. The fleet stretched across space, thousands of vessels moving toward the outer rim. They passed dead stars, forgotten stations, and silent worlds behind them. The Council placed beacons of warning. Here lies humanity. Do not approach. Months turned into years, and the fleet grew weaker. Supplies ran short, engines failed, and sickness spread. Many ships vanished in the dark. Swallowed by the cold emptiness, some began to question if survival was even possible. But among them was a man named Admiral Kieran Holt, once a soldier, now a symbol. His voice carried across the fleet. "We are not broken," he said. "We are exiled but not defeated. The void will not destroy us. It will forge us." And so humanity built in the dark. They found a small cluster of dying suns far beyond any map. There they settled, building new homes from shipwrecks and dust. Their cities floated in silence. Their children learned to walk under red skies. Years passed. Generations born in exile began to forget the color of Earth. But they never forgot who took it from them. Every story, every song, every night sky reminded them of the betrayal. The Galactic Council believed humanity was gone, erased by the void, but they were wrong. Deep within a frozen moon, engineers discovered something. An ancient alien station buried in ice, its power core still faintly glowing. It was technology far beyond anything humans knew. Holt saw it as fate. "The galaxy cast us out," he said, "but it left behind the tools we need to return." Scientists worked day and night, studying the alien design, adapting it, twisting it, merging it with human machines. Slowly, the first hybrid engines came to life, burning brighter and faster than any before. Ships that could bend light, glide through shadows, and move unseen. The people began to change too. The long years in the void made them stronger. Their eyes adapted to darkness, their minds sharper. They called themselves the Voidborn. One night, as the Admiral stood before the viewport of his flagship, the Soul's Wrath, he saw something strange on the scanners, a faint signal repeating through the static. It was old, human code, but the origin was unknown. He listened to the broken message, a voice whispering through the void, "We are not alone. We are waiting." The Admiral froze. His officers stared at the screen in silence. The signal came from beyond the rim, far beyond where any human had ever gone. Holt turned to his crew, his eyes cold but burning with purpose. "The galaxy threw us into darkness," he said. "But maybe it's time we see what waits in that darkness." Outside, the fleet engines came to life, glowing blue against the black. Thousands of ships turning toward the unknown. Humanity was no longer running, they were hunting. And somewhere in the vast silence of the universe, a new empire was beginning to wake. The darkness became their teacher, their weapon, and their home. The humans who once feared the endless void now walked through it like it was their own kingdom. Far from the Council's light, they built a new beginning. The frozen moons and broken asteroids of the outer rim turned into their foundries. Massive tunnels burned with white fire as machines roared without rest. The air smelled of metal and oil, and the silence of the stars was broken by the sound of creation. The Admiral's fleet, once scattered and starving, grew into something greater. Every wrecked ship was taken apart and reborn. Every fragment of alien metal was studied, twisted, and reforged. They learned faster than anyone expected, combining alien science with human madness.
Engineers became legends, inventors became warriors,
and soldiers became builders in the depths of nothing. Humanity discovered a power no council species dared to imagine. They called their first base Iron Eden, a city carved into an asteroid the size of a small moon. Its lights glowed dim and red so no enemy could see it. Its towers were built from melted starship hulls, and in the middle stood a single statue of Earth, cracked, broken but still shining. Children born here never saw blue skies, only the cold shimmer of stars. Yet they laughed, they ran, and they dreamed. They learned history not from books, but from the whispers of survivors. Their teachers told them, "We were cast out, but in the dark, we found our true strength." Humanity had changed. Their bodies grew lean and strong. Their eyes adapted to see through the shadows, and their hearts beat with quiet rage. They were no longer the same people the Council once knew. Admiral Holt watched all of this unfold from the bridge of Soul's Wrath. His ship now rebuilt with alien alloy and human genius. Its hull pulsed with dark light, bending radar and hiding in plain sight. "The Council sleeps," he said. "Let them dream of safety." Beneath his command, new divisions were forming: Void Engineers, Shadow Marines, and Celestial Minds. Humans who could read data streams like thoughts and speak to machines as if they were alive. One day, a ship returned from deep space. It was damaged, scarred by unknown weapons. The captain reported finding a derelict alien dreadnought, still alive, its systems breathing faintly like a dying beast. Inside, they found data, Council coordinates, weapon schematics, and something more. Records of the Council's hidden fear. The fear was named Project Oblivion. It was a secret plan to erase humanity completely if ever found again. The Council's machine fleets would burn every trace of them. Every gene, every signal. When Holt read the file, he did not shout or curse, he simply smiled. "So they feared us even after exile," he said quietly. "Then we must make their fear a reality." From that day, Iron Eden became a forge of vengeance. Ships were built larger, darker, stronger. Engines whispered in alien tongues mixed with human design. And the first Void Titan rose. It was named Erebus, a giant warship carved from both human will and alien secrets. Its armor reflected no light. Its cannons could pierce moons, and its core pulsed like a living heart. When it launched, the entire asteroid shook. The sound echoed through space like thunder in a vacuum. Every man and woman watched from their screens. Tears in their eyes, they had done the impossible from exile. They had built a god of war. The admiral stood before the ship, his voice echoing through the fleet. "They thought the void would kill us," he said. "But the void only made us stronger," the crowd roared. Not with joy, but with purpose. Years passed again. Iron Eden expanded into a network, the Forge Chain, linking hidden stations across the dark. Trade routes of secrecy and silence connected colonies. The Terran Federation was reborn, not as a democracy, but as a brotherhood of survival. Every ship bore the same symbol, a broken chain around a burning star. The Council still believed humanity dead, but strange stories began to spread among fringe worlds. Mining vessels vanishing without trace, pirate fleets destroyed by unseen attackers, and whispers of dark ships drifting through the cold void with human voices on their comms. On the edge of the galaxy, an alien freighter once recorded a ghostly transmission, a message spoken in a human tongue. "We were exiled. We were forgotten. We are coming home." The freighter's crew swore they saw blue lights chasing them before their systems died. When the news reached the Council, they laughed. "Ghost stories," they said. But deep inside their archives, old sensors began to detect something. Energy signatures matching human engines. And they were moving closer. In the heart of Iron Eden, Admiral Holt stood again before the stars, the signal they once found still repeating through the void. "We are waiting," it said, and he whispered back, "We are ready." The darkness that once held them prisoner had now become their greatest weapon. The humans had turned exile into evolution, silence into song, and pain into power. And as the Erebus led the fleet out of the shadow fields, a single word burned across every ship's screen. Silence ruled the outer rim. For years, no alien ship dared to cross that empty region of space. They said the stars there were cursed. They said ships that entered never came back. The Council ignored the rumors at first, until the signals began. At first, they were faint, only static mixed with ancient Terran frequencies. Scientists dismissed them as echoes, but one night, the Council's deep space network caught a transmission too clear to deny. It was a human voice, calm, cold, and full of strength. "We survived," it said. The words were repeated 3 times, and then the signal vanished. Every council chamber across the galaxy fell silent. The high archons of every race gathered in panic. The humans they had cast into the void had spoken again. "Impossible," one shouted. The Terrans were destroyed. But the signal kept returning every night, from a different point in the void, moving, shifting, spreading, like a whisper that grew louder each time news spread fast. Traders claimed to see dark ships drifting in the shadows, glowing blue engines and black hulls that reflected no light. Entire convoys went missing without distress calls. A council scout fleet was sent to investigate the border region near Sector 9. 20 ships entered, only 1 came back. The surviving commander trembled as he gave his report. "We found them," he said. "They are not the same, they're ships. They move like shadows. They are human, but they are something more." The holoscreen flickered to life, showing blurred images. Massive black vessels gliding without heat signatures. Their hulls alive with moving light, like the stars themselves bent around them. No council weapon could lock on. Every missile vanished before impact. Every laser scattered into nothing. The Admiralty could not explain it. No known technology allowed such stealth and power. The humans had turned exile into evolution. Back in the void, Admiral Holt stood at the command deck of Erebus, the largest of the new Terran Titans before him. A fleet of hundreds floated in silence, their lights dimmed, engines humming softly like beasts waiting to strike. "Signal received," said his comm officer. "Council border forces confirmed contact." The Admiral nodded slowly. "Then the time has come." He turned to his crew, men and women who had been born in darkness, raised on stories of loss and revenge, their faces calm, eyes burning with quiet fire. "We were thrown away," he said, his voice echoing through every ship. "We were told to vanish, to die quietly in the dark. But the dark became our home, and now the light will remember us." The fleet responded as one. A million voices whispering the same words through the comm network. For Earth, and with that the void began to move. Ships that had been invisible for decades activated their engines, their forms slowly taking shape against the emptiness, glowing lines forming symbols of humanity's rebirth. The first human fleet in 100 years crossed the outer rim, moving toward the same stars that once rejected them. Meanwhile, on the council world of Thalora Prime, panic spread through the Senate halls. Colonies reported losing contact. Communication beacons went silent, and distress calls filled the channels. A small patrol ship named Verilyn was ordered to investigate a missing colony near the rim. Its crew was nervous. Half of them had heard stories of the banished ones, but duty forced them forward. As Verilyn approached the dark zone, they saw wreckage. Alien ships floating in silence, cut in half with surgical precision. No fire, no explosion, just clean destruction, like the universe itself had erased them. Then the radar lit up, dozens of signals surrounding them, but no visual contact. "Identify yourselves," the captain shouted. "This is council space." The radio crackled for a moment, and then a voice replied, deep and steady. "Council space?" it said. "You mean our space." Every light on Verilyn flickered, and before anyone could react, a shadow passed across their viewports. A ship the size of a mountain drifted in front of them, completely silent, blacker than night. A single human emblem glowed on its side, a broken chain around a burning star. The captain whispered, "Humanity," and then the massive vessel transmitted a signal directly to the council network. The same voice as before, calm and cold. "We survived, and we are returning across the galaxy." Fear spread like wildfire. Merchants fled, admirals ordered fleets to prepare, and scholars dug through old archives searching for forgotten human files. Back in the void, Admiral Holt watched the chaos unfold through intercepted transmissions, a quiet smile forming on his face. "They remember now," he said softly. "But soon, they will understand." He gave a single order to the fleet. "Do not strike yet. Let them see us. Let them fear us. Before they kneel." The fleet dimmed their lights again, vanishing back into the shadows like ghosts, their signals fading one by one. But before they disappeared completely, they left one final transmission echoing across every communication line in the galaxy. "We are humanity and the void is ours." The Council could no longer deny what was happening. The ghost stories had turned into real battles. Outposts near the rim were going silent one after another. Patrols vanished. Convoys disappeared without trace every day. New reports came of dark ships appearing and then fading into the stars. In panic, the Council called an emergency meeting. Thousands of voices filled the Grand Hall of Light. Some shouted for peace, others demanded war. But fear ruled them all. At last, they agreed to send a massive response fleet to the edge of the rim. Their goal was simple: find humanity and erase it forever. The fleet was commanded by Admiral Varnak of the Tessel Dominion, known for his arrogance and hatred toward humans. He believed victory would be easy. They were exiles, scavengers, he told his officers. "We will burn their ruins and return as heroes." His fleet of 700 ships moved out, banners of the Council glowing bright in the void, far beyond their sensors. Human scouts watched quietly. They did not interfere. They simply observed and transmitted data back to Iron Eden. On the command bridge of the Erebus, Admiral Holt listened to the reports in silence. The Council fleet was coming and humanity was ready. No speeches, no cries of anger, only calm voices and steady hands. Every Terran ship went dark, systems silent, engines cold. They waited inside the shadow fields hidden between dead moons and dark matter storms. When the Council fleet entered the zone, they saw nothing. Empty space stretched around them. Their sensors flickered with static. Their communications began to lag. Varnak grew impatient. "Keep moving," he ordered. They hide because they are afraid, but deep down, even he felt something was wrong. Hours passed, and then, one by one, Council ships began to lose contact. A small cruiser vanished first, then a destroyer. No explosions, no debris, only silence. Panic spread through the formation. Scanners showed strange distortions moving in the dark, shapes that disappeared when focused upon. And then it began. From behind a dead moon, 3 Terran warships appeared, silent and black, their hulls alive with blue veins of energy. They did not broadcast signals or warnings. They simply opened fire. Beams of condensed light tore through shields like paper. Missiles burned brighter than suns. "Engage them!" Varnak screamed, but his command ships were already breaking formation. The enemy moved too fast, too precise. Human ships danced between laser storms, their weapons cutting through fleets built by empires. Each human vessel fought like a living thing, artificial minds guiding every movement, human captains commanding with cold focus. It was not war. It was art made of destruction. The Council fleet tried to retreat, but the void itself betrayed them. Their warp drives jammed, their signals blocked, and their maps filled with false stars. Every route led back into the ambush. From the bridge of Erebus, Admiral Holt watched as holograms displayed the battle. The once proud Council fleet now burning in silence. "They call us banished," he said, but it was they who lost the right to the stars. The humans didn't fight for revenge alone. They fought to prove they had survived, to show the galaxy what exile had made of them. After 8 hours of chaos, the Council fleet was gone. Only 20 ships remained drifting in the dark, their crews begging for mercy. Admiral Holt gave none, but neither did he destroy them. He sent a message instead. To the Galactic Council, his voice echoed through every surviving ship. "You exiled us to die, but we did not die. You feared what we might become, and your fear was wisdom now. You will remember what humanity truly is." Then the Terran fleet vanished, their engines leaving behind trails of blue fire that lingered like ghosts across the battlefield. The surviving ships limped back to Council space, spreading tales of horror. They spoke of human vessels that moved faster than thought, of weapons that bent reality, of soldiers who did not bleed but burned with light. The galaxy listened, terrified. Empires that once laughed at Earth now fell silent. Trade routes were abandoned, and old enemies began whispering about peace. For the first time in thousands of years, fear united them. But within the Council chambers, some still refused to believe. "We cannot let them grow," one elder said. "If they are not stopped now, they will rule the stars." Another replied, "Perhaps that is already true." Far in the void, Admiral Holt stood on the command bridge, watching the broken enemy ships fade on the sensors, his fleet silent behind him. "This is only the beginning," he whispered. "They will come again, and when they do, they will find not outcasts, but an empire." And deep within the forges of Iron Eden, new engines ignited, new ships were born, larger and more powerful than before. The people called them Star-Lords, vessels meant not for defense but dominion. The first encounter war had ended, but in truth, it had only opened the door. Humanity was no longer hiding. They had stepped back into the galaxy, not as the hunted, but as the hunters. And somewhere in the darkness beyond sight, the void whispered its approval, as if the stars themselves bowed before the exiles who had become their masters. The echoes of the first encounter war still haunted the galaxy. Entire star nations whispered about the humans who returned from death. The council called them the Banished. But across the border worlds, people began to use a different name. They called them the Voidborn. And that name carried both fear and awe. While the council argued in their shining halls, humanity worked in silence. Iron Eden and the surrounding colonies merged into a vast network of stations, each one connected by dark routes that no outsider could see. They forged cities inside asteroids, floating towers that shimmered like stars, and hidden shipyards where engineers built monsters of steel and flame. Admiral Holt no longer commanded a fleet. He commanded a civilization. The Terran Federation was reborn under a new banner, one forged not by governments, but by survival. They called it the Void Empire, and its symbol was the same broken chain around a burning star. Every citizen of the empire carried that mark, not as decoration, but as reminder. They were the children of exile, united by pain and purpose. In the great capital station called Nova Sol, a city built around the core of the ship Erebus, the first council of humanity was formed. Leaders from every colony gathered, soldiers, miners, scientists, and traders, all equal, all survivors. Admiral Holt stood before them and spoke, his voice calm but powerful. "We were cast out to die, yet we lived. We were forgotten, yet we endured. Now we rise not for vengeance but for justice. The galaxy will learn what it means to survive the void." Cheers erupted across the hall. Banners of blue light shimmered through the glass walls. For the first time since Earth burned, humanity was united not by loss but by destiny. Ships of the Void Empire spread through the empty sectors, reclaiming forgotten worlds and rebuilding lost colonies. They did not conquer blindly. They offered a choice: peace under their protection, or silence, and many accepted alien species who once served the Council began to defect. Small worlds at the edge of nowhere opened their ports to Terran envoys. They found safety, trade, and respect, something the Council had never given them. One of them was the Seren Queen, ruler of a proud insectoid race destroyed by Council wars. She came to Nova Sol in person, her golden armor cracked from battle. She knelt before the human council and said, "We fought for those who betrayed us. Now we stand with those who were betrayed." Her words became the motto of the new alliance, from betrayal, unity. Together they built fleets of mixed design, human minds and alien technology, woven together like blood and steel. The galaxy watched in disbelief. Enemies of yesterday now fought side by side under the Terran flag. Back in Council space, fear turned to desperation. Their fleets rebuilt quickly, but their people no longer believed in them. Merchants refused to travel near human borders. Soldiers deserted, and whispers of rebellion filled the air. The Void Empire had no need to invade. Their very existence was breaking the galaxy apart. Within a few years, humanity controlled hundreds of systems. Their ships patrolled vast regions once claimed by ancient empires. On every conquered world, they built a single monument, a black tower crowned with a burning star. Under it were carved 3 words, "Never again forgotten." But even as they rose, shadows lingered. Admiral Holt, now called the Emperor of the Void, spent long nights staring at old recordings of Earth, the oceans, the skies, the laughter of children. He had won the stars, but lost his home. One night, a scientist approached him, a woman named Dr. Reyes. She bowed and handed him a small data core. "We found this inside the ruins of the alien station," she said. "It contains the original council orders, the vote that banished us." The admiral inserted the core, the hologram flickered, and he saw it. The faces of the same council members. Cold and proud, one of them said, "The human race is too dangerous to exist." He turned off the recording, his face unreadable. "Then we will show them how right they were," he whispered. Soon after, the Terran fleets began constructing something new, larger than any dreadnought. A ship that would serve not as weapon but as symbol. The Void Throne. A mobile capital that could travel between galaxies, its core forged from the remains of ancient council vessels, its power unmatched. When it was finished, its launch was broadcast across the stars. The sight of it silenced even the council spies who watched. A single vessel glowing like a small sun, drifting through the dark. The Emperor stood upon its command bridge, watching the galaxies shimmer before him. "We were cast into the void," he said. His voice carried across every human world. "And in the void, we found our destiny." The galaxy trembled, empires bent their knees, and for the first time in history, the center of power was no longer the council worlds of light, but the Black Empire born in darkness. The humans, once outcasts, now ruled the stars. And yet, in the quiet between systems, the void whispered again, as if reminding them that every rise begins with exile, and every empire carries the memory of its fall. The stars above the council worlds no longer felt safe. Once they had believed their fleets were unbreakable, their cities eternal, their power infinite. Now every night sky seemed to glow with blue lights, the color of the humans they once exiled. Fear had become their new law. Every colony near the rim had fallen, every trade route now carried Terran banners, and every whisper in the dark spoke one name: the Void Empire. Inside the great council hall of Lauren Prime, the Archons gathered one last time. The chamber that once echoed with arrogance now trembled with panic. Some demanded surrender, others still called for resistance, but none could deny the truth. The humans were coming. A messenger entered the hall, his uniform torn, his eyes wide with horror. "The Terran fleets," he gasped. "They have entered our space, their ships move like ghosts, our scanners cannot track them, our weapons do nothing." The Archons fell silent. One of them whispered, "They were supposed to die in the dark." Another replied softly, "They became the dark." Far beyond their planet's orbit, the sky rippled like a storm. The first wave of the Void Fleet appeared. Hundreds of black ships sliding out of the void, their engines glowing blue and silent. The lead ship, Erebus, moved at the center, larger than any station, carrying the Emperor himself. Admiral Holt, now crowned as Emperor of the Void, stood before the galaxy he once served and raised his hand. "Begin," he said. The fleet opened fire. Not with explosions or chaos, but with precision. Their energy weapons tore through orbital defenses like paper. Satellites shattered, and the Council's mighty dreadnoughts fell from orbit like stones. But what shocked the galaxy most was not the destruction. It was the silence. The humans fought without hate. Their ships moved like dancers, striking only where needed, disabling rather than annihilating. It was not vengeance. It was judgment. The Council fleet tried to resist. Thousands of ships rose in defense. But they were broken in hours. Their admirals watched helplessly as human vessels passed through their shields as if they were missed. One alien commander begged for mercy, sending a direct transmission to Erebus. "Why do you do this?" he cried. "You could destroy us all." The Emperor replied calmly, "Because once you did the same to us, and now you will understand what you created." Human soldiers descended upon the Council capital, their armor dark and sleek, their faces hidden behind visors glowing blue. The city trembled as the armies marched through empty streets, not to kill, but to take the throne. When they reached the Council tower, the last of the Archons stood waiting. Their robes torn, their crowns dim. One of them, old and trembling, looked at the human leader and whispered, "We feared you, and in that fear we doomed ourselves." The Emperor removed his helmet, his eyes tired, his voice calm. "Fear was never your sin," he said. "It was arrogance." He turned away from them. looking through the shattered glass toward the burning skyline. You thought exile would break us, but it built us, he continued. You thought the void was death, but it became our home. He walked toward the council's throne, the symbol of their rule for centuries carved from crystal and arrogance. He placed his gauntleted hand on it, and for a moment, the entire galaxy held its breath. But he did not sit, instead he destroyed it. A single strike shattered the throne into dust, its light fading into nothing. All empires fall, he said. Even ours will one day. But not today. Behind him the Terran banners unfurled, black cloth glowing with the emblem of the broken chain and the burning star. The remaining council worlds surrendered within days. Their armies disarmed, their leaders captured, but no executions followed. Instead, the humans rebuilt what they had destroyed, repairing cities, healing the wounded, and feeding those who once called them monsters. When the galaxy saw this, their fear turned to something new. Respect. Across 1,000 systems, the message spread. The banished had returned not as conquerors but as rulers. The Emperor addressed the galaxy from the heart of the former council capital. His voice transmitted across every world. The age of the council is over, he said. The age of fear is over. From the void we bring balance. Not tyranny, his words echoed through time. Reaching colonies that once believed humanity extinct. Reaching children who now looked to the stars with hope. And yet, as the celebration began, the Emperor stood alone on the balcony of the captured tower, watching the horizon glow red with the fire of dying ships. He whispered softly, "We won, but at what cost?" The stars above shimmered quietly, as if listening, as if reminding him that even in victory, the void never forgets. The galaxy was quiet now. No more council orders. No more fleets of oppression. The stars that once belonged to empires of arrogance now belonged to those who had walked through darkness and survived. Humanity had become the light in that endless night. From the ashes of the council's ruins rose something greater. Cities rebuilt under Terran rule glowed with both alien and human hands working side by side. The broken races that once served the council now served a dream. Not of power, but of unity. And at the heart of it all stood Nova Sol Prime, the capital of the Void Empire, a world carved from black stone and starlight, surrounded by rings of glowing stations, each one a living monument to the lost world of Earth. On this world, the Emperor of Humanity walked alone through the Hall of Memory, a corridor lined with holograms of those who had died in exile. The names of ships, colonies, and heroes glimmered in blue light. He stopped at one panel marked simply Earth. His reflection merged with the image of a blue planet long gone. "We are home," he whispered, "even if it is not the same sky." Outside, the fleet of the Void Empire drifted in silence, their engines pulsing like hearts across the horizon. Thousands of ships guarding not just worlds, but peace itself. They were no longer weapons of hate. They were guardians of the stars. The galaxy began to change. Planets once dying now bloomed again under Terran technology. The air clean, the oceans blue. Human scientists shared knowledge with alien scholars, and slowly, hope replaced fear. Children of 100 species studied history together, learning not of war but of survival. Their teachers told them of the dark days when humanity was exiled, and how they returned not to destroy, but to lead every year on the day called the Day of Return. The Emperor addressed the galaxy, his voice calm and steady, carried through the void. "We were once broken, but we rose. We were once forgotten, but now we remember, and in remembering, we forgive." But not all could rest easily. Deep in the shadows between galaxies, strange signals began to appear again. Whispers from beyond known space, older than even the Council's archives. Some said the void itself was waking. Others said something was coming, something ancient. The Emperor knew the signs. He had lived too long in darkness not to recognize its call. Standing on the observation deck of the Erebus, now transformed into a sacred flagship, he gazed into the infinite black. "The void made us," he murmured, "and one day, it will test us again." Behind him, the new generation of leaders stood ready, young, fearless, born in light but carrying the blood of those who walked through the dark. Their armor bore the same mark, the broken chain around a burning star. They would inherit the empire, but not its anger. They would carry its strength, but not its hate. As the Erebus rose above Nova Sol's horizon, its hull reflecting the light of 1,000 suns, the Emperor's final message echoed through time, recorded in every ship and every city across the galaxy. "They cast us into the void, but the void became our forge. They tried to silence us, but the stars carried our voice. We were human. And that was enough. Centuries passed and the galaxy forgot the names of the old empires. But the story of humanity endured, told in songs carved into temples and whispered in the winds of alien worlds. And somewhere far beyond the known stars, where the light fades and the silence begins, the universe itself remembers the ones who were cast away, the ones who fell into darkness and built a throne among the stars.